You're standing between me and the airport right now. But give us a little bit of the footprint of Level, because when we say you were coming on, there was more than one person that was like, "Oh, Chris is awesome."
Okay, wow.
That really happened last night. It's true.
Yeah, footprint of Level. We've been operating in the regulated market for better part of 10 years. The thesis of the company is around effects-based or targeted effects from cannabis formulations from emergent cannabinoids not accessible from the plant alone. So combinations of acidics, neutrals, enzyme, non-degradative or degradative enzymatic byproducts, things like that, right? So like CBN, THCV with acidics and neutrals. So that was the thesis of the company. And then
You're a scientist.
I am a scientist.
Yes.
PhD in small molecule chemistry.
Yes.
So that's, I think really influenced
If it wasn't clear,
how
the first couple of
how we went about this.
dumb it down for it.
And then, we just really focus on, hey, Anna, on a solid oral dosage forms. So sublingual and tablets, right?
A solid oral.
Solid oral dosage
Oh,
forms.
solid.
Tablet.
I thought you got it. Okay.
Yeah. So,
that's
what we've been focusing on for the past 10 years, like that. And that's our entire focus.
Why was that the focus?
Well, I
never. Was it a gap in the market? Was it something you felt like? What was the?
Well, it's an amazing delivery vehicle, right? It's one of the reasons why pharma nutraceutical supplements, 60% of all of them are in this form factor. Once you have manufacturing down, it's very, very efficient. Plus, back in 2016, 17, when we were developing this, trying to put THCV in a cart, it was like a $500 cart. Right. But the effect wasn't interesting enough to, I think, get really widespread adoption. The supply chain wasn't mature enough to really support it. So, and I never really wanted to be in inhalables or traditional ingestibles. I wanted to have a very clean, simple, minimum ingredient product that was consistent, effective, standardized. And this is the way to do it.
I have to, first of all, really good to see you.
Good seeing you.
We got to hang out at the airport on the way to Vegas. And you are outnumbered. You've got 3 out of 4 of us live in Sonoma County, Northern California right now. So
I used to live in the Bay Area.
But this is like a serious Sonoma County panel right now. But Chris, I have to give you credit for introducing me to some minor cannabinoids for the first time. I had never tried some of the different letters of cannabinoids before, and you were creating these really different, unique products that I had never seen before. And what's come from that now is a lot of people, I think, that have followed behind, often in the kind of synthetic and conversion spaces of taking CBD isolate and creating Delta 8. Like you had a Delta 8 product inside the legal cannabis regulated market. I'm curious of just what you have learned about bringing minor cannabinoids to consumers for the first time when nobody had ever heard of these things. Like, do people just try cannabinoids if they don't know what they are? Or is there some level of education? Like, I was a little like, what is this going to do to me? I didn't know. And I work in the industry.
Right.
So what has that been like?
Yeah, that's a good question. I mean, yes, education, which can be very challenging. It's a high touch industry. Tends to be a lot of turnover within retail. You have to educate, train staff, bud tenders. They're the gatekeepers still. And we run really lean as an organization, always have. So it's always been a big challenge. And, we started putting, THCV on the market in 2017, CBG. We came out with Delta 8, which it's very unfortunate. It's a little side tangent, but it's very unfortunate because Delta 8 is actually an amazing cannabinoid, and it has some very, very powerful therapeutic benefits, especially, anti-emesis or, helping to calm stomachs and things like that, mitigate pain. And I love having it in formulations because it really helps complement, but we've had to remove it all since, it blew up on the hemp scene in the unregulated space because the insurers were going to the retailers saying, you can't have this in there, even though it was allowed by law. So, it's kind of an unfortunate byproduct of everything that's happened. But getting them to market, we did them in low dose first, like a 3 milligram sublingual because, we're kind of experimenting in real time. And although these compounds, are naturally occurring and have been in the plant, humans have been consuming them in minor ratios for thousands of years. We haven't really looked at them in a purified sense and what that could do. So, we thought about it a lot and, looked at, like thresholds of toxicological concern and tried to use best practice from pharma to, okay, what could we put on the market and feel we're still doing it ethically and morally, but we're still trying to push the space. And so, all of those things kind of coalesced, and we were out there for years before finally some of the larger ingestible companies finally came out. When CBN really started coming out, then other people were jumping into the emergent cannabinoid space a lot.
Aside from THC, what are the most popular cannabinoids that consumers
I mean, CBD,
like?
obviously.
Oh,
Yeah.
okay. Okay. Of the ones that people really know, like what are some of the other ones?
So yeah, CBN,
Mm-hmm.
THCV, CBG has a very, very strong following. And I think when people discover it and understand how amazing it actually is, I think to really help with calming, right? It's really good stress relief. It can help with people who suffer from anxiety or high stress situations. And like anything in cannabis, it's not a silver bullet. It's not going to solve your problems, but it takes the edge off to give you the ability then to make a behavioral change or take the time you need or change your diet or do these things, right? And so it's one of the things I love about cannabis. And then all these other cannabinoids that have these somewhat nuanced effects, but I think, dosed properly in the right delivery vehicles, they can have profound impact for human health.
It's wild. It seems like the anti-nausea is perfect for the rise of GLP-1s, which one of the major side effects is nausea.
Okay.
So and with the ontake of those, maybe you mix the GLP-1, you titrate in some, you put in some
Throw it in there.
CG and then equalize. I like that. Where is then the challenge for? I mean, what I've always found neat about your company is you are really making something different. In an industry where there's an ocean of flower, there's an ocean of other edibles. But what I like is that it is it's about as discreet as possible.
Yeah.
And so, and it's easy. I mean, like tinctures in a way, but even more so than tincture because
The dosage
it's,
is
and it's, and you don't even taste it. And so, there is an ease to it, that, makes adoption very simple. But, with that, where is the challenge, but also is there an opportunity, assuming that the hemp loophole closure does actually take effect in 340-ish days or whatever, 330, to sort of step into that consumer base of like that has been trying this and wants to expand out.
You're getting your Delta 8 back.
You're like, yeah.
Yeah. So there were a few questions in there, Mark, that you have for
That
me.
was,
And remind me of the first part.
Well, the first part was just my forcocked idea about editing.
The DA to the GLP-1. Yeah. As a time release.
Yeah, I mean, where do you see the challenge, but also is there an opportunity for from somewhat unique form factors such as yours?
Yeah. Yes. I think, one of the things so we're really known for higher dose formulations. That's how we've built the company with Delta 9 in the regulated markets. I didn't get into this to get people high. We're very good at it. It's not hard. It's THC, but it keeps the lights on and then allows us to keep pushing in these other ways. I think we're a top 5 ingestible in California, but we don't make a gummy, right? Everyone else is all gummies. And so I think education of, hey, this product doesn't belong just in the wellness section. Like we should be sitting directly with gummies because that's where we operate. But a lot of times we get pigeonholed into wellness. And I think that challenges how much customer awareness we can get. So we have to be creative about really driving that awareness. That's one of the issues. I think when we first launched too, there was a significant amount of pushback. Like, we're not taking pills.
Right.
Like, this is a plant. We're not doing pills. You're like, yeah, it's the plant in a tablet, right? And it's one of the reasons why we are very diligent about talking about it as a tablet and not a pill. I think it's important, and we always have. So those are some challenges to overcome, especially in more mature markets. Now, when we look at emergent markets, New York, New Jersey, or Pennsylvania medical market, people get it. It's a lot, they don't have any qualms. I don't think they have all of the, historical cannabis culture that is influencing how they're viewing it. So there is a lot of opportunity that way. And then as far as the impending hemp ban, if it does come into effect as it's written, we should be able to navigate it pretty well, because our focus in the hemp DTC space is either very, very low amounts of THCA or no T at all. And so those formulations that we use a little bit of THCA, because it really has a big impact, I think, on the benefit of all formulations, we can easily remove those and they will still be very effective. And so, yeah, we're all going to see what's going to happen, right? It's going to be a nail biting 300 and some odd days to see what actually happens. And, I think there's going to definitely be fallouts in different ways, because, supply chain is going to get disrupted. How will our banking and credit card solutions be impacted by it? Even if there is actually now a federal statute that says, here is the explicit definition, I think we don't understand what's going to happen as we go out on the risk curve to keep pushing in it. So yes, I think a lot of opportunity, but again, a ton of unknowns. It's cannabis, hemp,
That's the one known is the unknown.
Unknown. You're bringing up an interesting point as you're kind of diving into this hemp discussion, that one of the things that the beverage space has been really loud about is how dispensaries aren't the right channel for beverages. And that's why they're really pushing to, whether it's a carve out or just an opportunity to be outside of the dispensary channel. And your form factor is similarly unique in that it's not the thing that people think of necessarily when they think about going to a dispensary to buy joints or vape carts. And in a utopian world, like where is the best channel for consumers to buy level products if you could start from scratch?
Yeah, I mean, I think Walgreens,
Yeah.
CVS, go to the pain aisle, you want Advil, Tylenol, or some cannabinoid formulation, right? And that's always been the vision of the company. I think a lot of cannabis companies have this kind of vision too. But yeah, we can make a product that has a minimal impact on the environment. We can do it in ways that are, regenerative, that we essentially are leaving a smaller footprint than we're taking, and then do it in a way where we provide a plant-based solution for individuals that is actually, it's effective, it works. And in line with that, then yes, can we continue to push the science and really understand how this works, what it really works for, what doesn't work for it? That's another aspect that we are continually pushing on. We've run a couple of, IRB approved, blinded studies looking at cannabinoids for different impacts. We've run them on our own. We work with More Better. They have a really good real world data collection platform, and we're just finishing a sleep study with them. So all of these are important, because it's, for one thing, to be like, yeah, we should just be on the shelf of everything, but we're not saying that. Understanding, hey, there is so much about cannabinoids and how it impacts physiology and different pathologies for humans that we really need to tease out. But we do know that there is a very inherent level of safety built in, because this is a plant that we have co-evolved with as a species for at least 10,000 years, but probably hundreds of thousands of years. Like, this is a plant ally for humans. So yeah, how do we coalesce all of that and do it in a way where we can have rigorous science that helps support it, and then, build consumer products that are effective and safe?
Amen.
mean,
brother.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, well, so you clearly have a pharma mindset. You understand that side of the world, even though that isn't where you're playing right now. And I wonder why you're not. I mean, I think that Epidiolex and Sativex, it's incredibly expensive to get through the FDA. I know that. And so maybe that's the reason, and it's that simple. But these businesses on the other side of that highly expensive process also have been able to generate tremendous amounts of revenue. And I wonder if you have thought about it, if you're doing studies.
Yeah, well, I don't think access to this medicine and this plant should be gated by, this should be freely accessible, and it should be affordable. And that's what I want. I don't want it gated behind, oh yeah, we know it's incredibly expensive to get an FDA monograph. Great.
Mhm.
Well, now we're going to overcharge for it.
No.
It's literally CBD from a plant, right?
Mhm.
Let's make it so we get widespread mass adoption and we help drive the narrative forward. So yeah, I don't want it locked up somewhere. I want to make it accessible and have an impact on a huge
Yeah.
cohort of the population. So that's why it's,
And I totally get that. But then while you want to make it accessible, but the FDA path would make it more accessible in some ways from a legal perspective, right?
yeah, I just, it is not my world.
Yeah.
I only understand it a little bit. Yeah. The amount of time, resource, energy, politics that go into this We're talking about compounds you can't patent because they're naturally occurring. So a lot of these companies now are, they're med chemming it, they're making derivatives, they're just trying to find something that'll work that they can own that chemical space to push forward. Yeah, I don't know. It's just not interesting to me.
Yeah. I'm just asking.
No, I really appreciate it. I think it's a very valid question.
Yeah.
No, I got asked the question yesterday by somebody asking about, why isn't pharma in this, or is pharma just sort of waiting in the wings? And yeah, I mean, a lot of it is that FDA, there's only a handful of DEA licenses out there where you can be doing federally approved, sort of phase 1, phase 2, and all do the work that's necessary in order to get a drug, what is a new drug application approved. And so that, I mean, it really is so much about money and time. But it does exist. And there are a handful of companies that are trying to do that. But that's also, it's also a very different sort of outcome that they're going for. For better and for worse.
Yeah. And I mean, I think, I think it's the Botanical Drug Act. It's been around for like 25 years, and only one naturally occurring drug formulation, I think, has actually made it to the final stage and gotten the monograph, right? That's a very, very low percentage. So
Okay.
yeah.
You've been in the industry a long time. And you came in trying to fill this gap of what you're interested in. Like, do you see anybody else doing something interesting that is adjacent to you or cousins to what you're doing? Or does everybody else still suck?
No, there's really solid, great operators in the industry,
I talk shit here. Nobody's watching.
I was looking for the screen where you can see how many people are watching.
I can tell you.
Nasty comments.
118. That's just on Jeremy's Twitter.
I think that, well, in my world, I think anyone pushing genetics, like, what interesting things can we do with genetics, right? Not only on the D9 side and, whatever the new flavor of the month is, but can we express new cannabinoids? Can we change the ratios of them? That really impacts the supply chain, right? It helps drive costs down when we have better genetics, higher expressions of cannabinoids. Any type of delivery technology, people who are working on that, right? For cannabis, right? It's lipophilic. So it's like oil and water when you put it in the body, hence why we have to do these, if you're not ingesting it, why people play these tricks with them, if you will, but ways to solubilize them, make them so they're more bioavailable. There's a handful of them to help with that. So, and a lot of it is older technology. So people working on newer technology to solve this, I think is really interesting. And, I mean, there's big brands out there too that I just really admire because, we aspire to be a well-known national brand. It's harder in our category to do that. So when I see a lot of these companies, really scaling and building great brands, it's good for me to see, because I'm like, okay, there's some hope.
Yeah.
Talk about how you've looked at your state-by-state expansion and how you've chosen both what markets to target and also your partnership strategy within those markets, if you have any.
So yeah, when we look at it's most obviously we want to take an asset light approach as much as possible. Can't stand up infrastructure in every state. So looking for partners that don't have a competing product to ours, which most don't, but that also means that they don't have the the manufacturing knowledge for it or the equipment needed for it. So we have a mobile facility. Essentially, that we have one in the Midwest. We have one in New York that can service Pennsylvania, New Jersey, and New York. So my team flies in, we pick up our equipment, go to our licensed processor partner, manufacture for a week. We can manufacture 1 million tablets in a week, leave them tablets. They fill finish as needed, do distro, we run sales. So that's our model, because
It's a good fucking model.
it can't.
Isn't it?
If he's available.
Oh, geez. I have a car.
Yeah.
I can get there.
So it's good. We can minimize the amount of CapEx needed. The partners don't have to rely on needing, equipment lines for it. We can manufacture in 300 square feet. Like, we don't need a lot of space. We don't need a lot of power. The product is very amenable for this type of strategy. And we have a couple patents on our process, which allows us to do it. It's a completely dry process, where most people, if they're doing things like this, they would have 2 extra steps, because you it would be a wet process for infusions and things like that. And our process is completely dry, which is why we can roll in 5 days and do this and then leave under these kind of conditions. So looking at all that, finding partners, single state operators, we've worked with, large MSO, smaller MSOs. We kind of did a design of experiment, like, okay, let's figure out what kind of partnership we think works best. And so, 6 states, we probably had 4 different types of partners in that. And learned a ton of painful lessons over the past 18 months. Things haven't worked. We had to divest Michigan because right when we launched, the market just started like crashing. So we gave it a shot for a year. Recently, our partner in Ohio needed to change kind of how they were doing business. So had to leave there. So we've lost a few states over the past year and a half, which is unfortunate, but still going strong in the other 5.
Interesting that you bring up Michigan, because we know that the industry in many markets like suffered from extreme price compression, and you mentioned that. But I wonder if your category is subject to that in the same way as flower.
Yeah, we don't miss. It's really challenging in markets, especially mature ones like Michigan, where I don't know, at some point it was like get 6-gram carts for $30. When the consumer, when they're buying 200 milligram gummies for $4 off the door, you just, that mindset you can't overcome. And for us, it's like, we're not going to race to the bottom, So we went in and we just didn't sell well there. I think there was several reasons why for it, but pricing structure just works too. And I think how much the consumers have been trained there, and not only there, it's happening in California, price compression everywhere. It's challenging.
Yeah. It's a big problem here in Vegas too.
Oh yeah.
Because there's so many dispensaries and it's so easy to get to the next one.
True.
But I mean, Michigan's also funny. I mean, I think it's just like Southwest Michigan, on the Buffalo border, right over from Indiana. There's over 20 dispensaries
Right
within
there.
like this tiny little space. Somebody told me though that they did like 300 million of sales in last year, in the past 12 months or whatever, in that it was this concentration right over the border, and it's just nuts.
Well, they were saying that the most common unit sold on that part of Michigan on the Ohio border was 2-ounce bags.
Ah, nice. And on the other side of the border are the world's largest fireworks stores. So yes,
Sorry, what was better?
I think anytime, you can have retail right on next to Prohibition Estate.
Yeah, it's perfect.
Really?
Although now,
Well, any states on the roadmap for 2026 that you are looking for partners, that if anyone out there is listening, that they should get in touch with you?
I mean, we've, Missouri, I think is still really interesting. We looked at Illinois and Missouri quite a bit last year, but I think Missouri is probably a better opportunity for us when we look at the landscape. Florida's still really interesting, but there's inherent challenges either way. We originally had a 10-state 3-year roadmap, and we did 7 states 2 years, and then I was very naive, did not understand that running 7 states would be 7 unique businesses. Even when you have good partners, it is still just like, it is a full-time job. And so that was a big miss on my part and a big learning experience. So we've backed off on regulated expansion. We're, shoring up the states we're in. We're going to go much deeper where we think we'll do better that way in those states. We think we have the opportunity to really win in those states. And then right now, just really pushing on the DTC hemp side. That's really our expansion right now.
Well,
makes sense.
This is great. We connected with you. Was it a month ago?
It was summertime.
Yeah,
summertime.
Not December.
I have one more question.
Go for it.
That's maybe a little more personal, but something I'm really curious about is you and your wife are business partners, and you guys work together. And I sat behind you guys on the airplane coming out to Vegas, and I could just tell that you still like each other. You're laughing. I think like one of you even like leaned over and gave each other a kiss.
Wow,
I thought, damn, this is awesome. Like they work together and they still like each other. And
it'd be crazy if you're like, not really.
I know they did. I witnessed it. And I think that's like, how the heck do you work with the person you're married to? That's amazing.
No, well, thank you very much. All right. And I still love my wife.
Yeah,
more than like, very much. We've been together 27 years, and we just had our 22nd wedding anniversary in July. So I think we've been working together for 8 years. So I founded the company, and then about a year and a half, 2 years, we needed help. She came in, like, she's sales, marketing. That's her skill set. She's amazing at it. I know nothing of it. We were needing to build a little sales team, and she was in between kind of her work. Like, oh, I'll come in and help you for a second, help you stand up a sales team. And she got in there, and then my original co-founder was like, I'm out of here. So she moved right in. Right. And then we've been running it since. Yeah, incredibly challenging at times. If we were a newer couple, if we didn't already have almost 17 years under our belt together, never would have worked. Both the business and the relationship would have failed. But as I said, very complementary skill sets. We couldn't have built Level if it wasn't the two of us, right? She's amazing at, I think, helping to pull out the vision that I have and get it actually working in different operational ways, especially sales, marketing, people. So yeah, that aspect's amazing. But yeah, it's been hard. We've gone through some really hard times of trying to figure out, are we business partners? Are we married? What is going on here? And so we've gone to a place where it's like very hard and fast rules. There are places in the house that work is never discussed. And, we catch ourselves like, oh, I can't do this in this room. And, I think really defining those boundaries, and then both of us respecting them. And, she's amazing because I would work myself to death, and she's always like, stop, we have to pull back. So it's,
boundaries. That's a hot tip.
So much
Everyone needs to work on boundaries.
Sure.
Yeah, I know. I know.
Real people.
I didn't really learn what a boundary was until I was like over 40. So I'm trying to figure it out.
Yeah.
So I like think
luck.
him.
Good luck. Good luck.
Yeah.
Well, Chris, thank you so
Thank
much
you
for
so much.
coming in.
But
Anna Ray
really
and
appreciate
Mark,
it.
Yeah.
thank you for this. This is so fun. We know this is on the road. We can take it on the road even
Love
more. Thank you all for watching, both today and actually a little bit yesterday, but also on Wednesday. I thought it was great.
it
This
was
was
fun.
really fun.
terrific.
Thank you all for watching. We'll be back doing this at some point. We'll be back to our Friday regular show.
Yep.
Next
Probably
Friday.
next week. Yeah.
Next Friday. I have to do one computer thing before we actually stop going live. So sorry, everybody. You get to see my laptop.
And thank you for Eric Rossetti, who
Yes, thank you,
is
Eric.
our high spirits producer that came
Yes.
to Vegas and has been helping us get to have multiple cameras. So if
Yeah.
you think this looks cool,
Let Eric know.
yeah. Thanks, Eric.
Good. Thank you, everybody. We'll see you down the road.
Yeah. Thanks very much.
Peace out, everyone.
Bye.